Good morning. Good morning. How are you today on this, what day is it? Thursday, May the 15th. How on earth is it May? The middle of May already. Let me know if you're joining me today. If you're here, say hi. If you're watching the replay, make sure that you post below and say hello as well, and that you're watching the replay. I know lots of people still have work and lots of things going on at noon, and not everybody can watch on a lunch break. But I'm here on a Thursday today because life has been kind of all over the place the last few weeks, and I wanted to make sure that I could get on and see you and do a project because it feels like it's been forever. Last week we were traveling and we went down to Naples for a little family getaway with a couple other friends, family friends. And then we came home for a night just to switch around our suitcases. And then we left the next morning and drove up to Tennessee for my niece's graduation. And I thought maybe I would have a few minutes alone, maybe in the hotel room where I could go live and do a project with you, but it didn't happen. It did not happen. And I'm just not somebody that can go live with my family sitting in the same room and listening. I don't know. It feels weird. It's like having a phone conversation when you know people are listening. So, we had to skip last week, and then the week before that, I think I did get on. We had a impromptu lettering session where we just lettered freestyle. I took your requests, and so if you missed that live, you can check back and watch the replay of that. It was really fun, and it was a good way to challenge myself and give you some ideas on ways that you can letter in different ways. So I got some good feedback on that, and I think we'll try to work that into the rotation to do a little more often. So if you're jumping on, say hey. Hey, Sonia, and hey, Donna. Good to see you today. I've really missed being with y'all last week. When you miss a week, it feels like a long time. So I was even trying to think, could I like throw in an evening live at some point. So if you like evening lives more than daytime, let me know too if that works out better for you. Hello, good morning, Carissa, or good afternoon, wherever you are. It's noon here, but it still feels like morning. I've got my coffee. I made another cup because I'm one of those like sip on your coffee all day long. I never actually finish it, but I do sip on it all day long. So it's a bad habit. So anyway, let me know where you're watching from. I was in Tennessee last week and it was beautiful. I love Tennessee. I grew up in Memphis, and the weather, I just forgot how nice it was for so long. And we were in East Tennessee last week, so more in like the Chattanooga area. And I had a sweatshirt on. It was cool some of the evenings and a little bit rainy, and it was just wonderful. And then we crossed back over, the Florida line, and it's hot and humid again. So anyway, it was definitely nice to be a little further north. So let me know where you're watching from and what your weather is like right now too. We're definitely up in the 90s already. And I'm not okay with it. Really not a hot weather loving girl at all. But we're going to do a Scripted Faith Collective template today. It's been a hot minute since I have done a template lettering session with you, and I've got a cool piece here that I wanted to do and share with you. Good morning, Marisa, Carson City. Goodness gracious, wind and snow and rain. I don't even know what it's like to have snow in May. I don't know that I would love that. Hot in Illinois, Plano, Texas. I'm very familiar with Texas. My family is in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I've spent a lot of time there this time of the year. So we have such weird weather there. You just kind of never know what it's going to be like this time of year. But Anyway, it's good to see where you're watching from. So let me show you what I got going on here on my desk today. Let me switch my camera over here. All right. Okay. So we are going to do a little wood shelf sitter. This is a piece of scrap wood that, okay, I told y'all a few weeks ago that I was getting my stairs done and they were ripping everything out and they threw it all in the front yard. And so I went scavenging and I found a little bit of scraps that I thought would be fun to use for some lettering projects. This one, in my opinion, is the best one that I was able to salvage. The previous owners were gonna do the stairs, and so they had put down one tread, and then the rest of the treads were the old original flooring, the original oak. But it looks like they were going to do this. I don't know if it's pine or what, but it was just one stair tread at the bottom of the stairs. It wasn't even properly put on there. We put a screw in it so that we didn't trip over it the last year that we lived here. And so this little piece was kind of sitting there by itself in the pile, and it's stained. Now the sides are not stained and the back is not stained, but so it looks like maybe it's just a piece of pine or your just normal like lumber that you'd get from Lowe's or something. I don't really know, but I like the color of it and I like the texture of it. It's really rustic. And I know I don't do a lot of really rustic things with y'all. I've done a little bit more of the bright color painted stuff and chalkboards and all that, but I thought it would be fun to do something different. I do like the rustic look. I like a farmhouse look. I know that people say that that's like going out of style or whatever, but whatever. If you like it, you like it, and you should just keep it, you know? So we are going to do this template. It is the Let's Stay Home template from the Scripted Faith Collective. So this is one of the newer ones from, I believe it was from the May drop. So we do 7 new templates every month, and we are building a library of designs. So this one was one of my favorites because it is an anthem. I love to stay home. I'm definitely a homebody. And so I thought this would be just a fun little thing to put on a shelf sitter, and it could go on the mantle or maybe in the guest bathroom or somewhere just, you know, for a little decoration. So I'm going to show you, if you've never caught me on a live before, I like to just walk you through step by step, share with you my method. I know there's a lot of different ways to do things in the creative realm. So this is just my way. And if it's the first time that you've ever seen me or first time that you're getting acquainted with me, I am a hand letterer of, 11 years. I believe I started my daughter was about 1 year old. So about 2014 was when I really seriously started trying to learn hand lettering. And it has been a major thing in my life. I know it's kind of dramatic when people say something is life-changing, but truly hand lettering has been life-changing to me. It's allowed my creativity to flourish and grow. And so now, I guess 11 years in, is that right? 11, 12-ish years. I have transitioned to not just creating products with hand lettering on them, but also creating resources for you, whether it be in the Faith in Lettering course or the Faith in Lettering book, which I wrote back in 2018 to teach you about hand lettering and about the different aspects of hand lettering, different styles. But then also now this year, I just started the Scripted Faith Collective back in January, and it allows you to take my artwork, these templates, and create with them however you want. So what we're doing today is hand lettering. We're going to transfer this design onto the board. Or if you have a Cricut or a Silhouette machine, you can take these files, you can cut them out on vinyl and put them on things. You can, what else could you do? You make signs, t-shirts, sublimation. You could even bring these designs into your iPad and trace them for practice. You can bring it into your iPad and change the colors and make it more of a printable. So, I mean, the options are limitless. It's just based on your own creativity and what you can come up with. So I will get started. I've got my stylus here, my Posca. This is a white medium Posca. And then just a white piece of graphite paper. I've used it previously for another project, but you'll see that you can use them over and over. So why get a new piece out when this one will work just fine? So the main thing to do first is you are going to center it. And I think that this might be one of the more challenging parts because you've got the graphite paper there and then you've got your piece of paper. And so you've got to really try to eyeball that as best as possible. So I'm going to line up the top of my graphite paper with the top of my actual paper. So at least I know I'm starting straight. And then I'm going to place that. I don't know if your camera or if you can tell that the camera is picking up maybe just a little bit of a shadow underneath. Let's see if I hold it up. Kind of hard to see the shadow underneath with my lights, but that other thing you can do is just fold it, kind of bend it on the side of your board so you can see if it is centered or not. So we want to center it left and right, but we also want to center it top and bottom. So don't forget about the top and the bottom too. So just pull it up and I want to make sure it's straight. So I'm just kind of looking down here. Give it a good little crease there. Hey, Lisa. Hey, Donna. Hey, Raina. Who else did I miss? That's everybody who's made a comment. Okay, so I think it looks pretty good and centered. Go ahead and crease it down on all four sides so that you can just really make sure that it is where you want it. And you may not even want it centered. Sometimes you may want to make it a little bit smaller, print it off a little bit smaller and position it down in a corner or something like that, depending on what your background is, your surface that you're working on, or where you think it might go. So there we go. It looks pretty good. The template that I'm working with here, I forgot to tell you, it is actually scaled down to 75%. So when you print normally, it prints at 100%. I scaled it down. I printed it off at 60. 60 felt a little bit too small. And then I printed it again at 80. 80 felt like it was just maybe too close to the edge. So I went to 75. I really probably could have even gone to 70 and had a little bit more margin on the sides there, but it's going to work for what we're doing. Hey, Marion or Marty, you always throw me off whenever I see you comment on Facebook because I know that you go by Marty, but hello, good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are. All right, I'm going to stand this up and I'm going to just put a little piece of painter's tape right here to secure it. So that I feel like is the hardest part. Trust me, if you've ever done one of these, you can agree or disagree and say, no, it's not. But you want to make sure that it is on there good and straight. So now we are going to transfer. I've got my stylus. And whenever you put your paper on there, you want to make sure that you're picking the more waxy side, not the smooth side. So you can kind of feel the texture of your paper, the graphite paper. and you're wanting it to be able to transfer. So that waxy side is what's going to transfer the white onto the surface. So let's give it a little test and see. I'm going to use the smaller side here. I'm going to try not to push too hard because it will leave indentions in the wood. We're just going to follow that line all the way around. And I'm going to go along the outsides of it so that we can really trace, because this is really large calligraphy. So I want to get both sides so that way I can almost just color it in. I don't have to guess. If you've learned faux calligraphy before or regular calligraphy, then you kind of just know already where your thick downstrokes would go. And so if you are comfortable with that, you could just trace right through the middle of the letters and then come back in and add your own thickness. So that will just be based on your own comfort and experience. Now I'm going to lift this up just a little bit because I want to make sure it's transferring. I want to make sure I put it on there correctly. So look, you can see that L. It's so fun. And because we creased our edges, we can know that we're putting that back down right where it needs to be. So I'm going to just continue that around. And this is a really great thing to do if you feel like you've had a stressful day. I'm telling you, there is something about this, even more so than lettering. Now, lettering is wonderful. I highly recommend that you learn how to do some lettering on your own, because there's always going to be times when you want to letter something custom or specific to you or specific to a family member. And it's really wonderful to know how to do that. But these templates, they take all the pressure off and all the stress of having to come up with the design yourself. So you don't have to really give that any thought. The most thought you have to do is where you're placing it on your surface. And then you just trace it. And I mean, I'm telling you, I kind of feel like I can just like breathe, and just let your hands do the work. You don't have to think a whole lot about it. Put on some praise music, put on a podcast, whatever it is that you enjoy listening to, a book maybe, or a sermon. I don't listen to a lot of sermons. There's one preacher that I love to listen to during the week, and I'll try and catch up on his sermons. But for the most part, I'm such a dork. I like to listen to court or to keep up with different lawsuit cases and things like that. And I think it comes from me as a younger girl in high school and everything, enjoying true crime, mystery novels. And so my kids are like, why is this interesting to you? Why do you listen to this? I'm like, I don't know. It just is interesting. It's like watching a puzzle come together. So I've been watching some trials lately on YouTube. But whatever it is that you like, what do you like to listen to? Do you prefer music? Do you prefer podcasts, books? I would like to know what it is that you listen to whenever you're doing something like this, or if you're driving. What are your favorites? I used to be a music girl. I do really love music, but Pretty much the only time I listen to music now is when my kids are in the car and we sing along to their music that they like. All right. Yes, Marisa said, and choosing what template to use. That is a hard part too. I get that. That's probably one of the harder parts too. I was laying in bed last night thinking, what project do I want to do? I have several options. I've got some other things that I've got from Hobby Lobby for some future projects. And so I was trying to figure out which one do I want to do tomorrow? It's almost like when you have too many choices, you can't decide. All right, so the nice thing too about these templates is you can customize them to your preferences. So if you're not a heart girl and you don't want to have a heart on there, you don't have to have a heart. You can leave that off. You can even cut the templates. Now, a lot of times, my designs fit together like a puzzle. So they're gonna fit a certain way. But sometimes you might be able to see like, oh, I could cut it and make it long and straight instead of in a vertical form. I could make it horizontal. And so you could like actually cut the template and lay it out almost like you would do with a stencil or anything like that. So they're very versatile. You can do with it what you will. All right, there's the reveal. So there's our transfer. I love it. It's going to look good. Marisa says if I'm driving, it's legend country music. At home, it's old TV programs like Murder, She Wrote. Yes, yes. I forgot. I didn't even know that they still played some of those old shows, but it's fun. Matlock, that's like court too, right? He was a lawyer. So I just think that maybe it's a little bit new. Like, I don't know, is it new where people watch court because it's streamed on YouTube? And, I know that court TV has been around a long time, but you had to sit in front of your TV. But now you can take it on YouTube with you wherever you go and keep up with it. Hey, Beth, it's good to see you today, too. Thank you for popping on. We are hand lettering on a piece of a stair tread that I was able to salvage when I got my stairs ripped out a few weeks ago. They left the pile in the yard, and this was a piece of stair tread that I think the previous owner was planning on installing, and they had only left one tread. And it's cool looking. It's a little bit more rustic for stairs than what we're doing, but I thought it would make a really cool shelf sitter. So I cut it down, and I'm leaving it really rustic, but for me, it's kind of a piece of our home, from like when we bought it. So, all right, so I'm using my medium Posca, and I'm just going to start tracing it. The nice thing about the medium is it's already a pretty fat tip. And so you don't have to worry so much about those thinner strokes, like getting those in. You're just going to come back down over the thicker ones to thicken all that up. So first we're going to just get the basic shape in there. Marisa says she listens to court TV sometimes too. So you know what it's like. It can be very interesting. Very interesting. And now there's all these lawyers on YouTube who stream and they do commentary. So they kind of talk about what's happening and they explain things. And that's even more interesting. I know some of y'all are like, that does not sound interesting. Okay. So that got a little bit thick right there. I'm going to try to keep it pretty thin. The key is keeping the upstrokes thin, and then you can go back over your downstrokes to thicken them up. And that does take some practice because it's hard not to want to go back over. And if you do go back over, you just got to do it lightly, and you got to try to trace over the same spot. And then we're also going to try and smooth some of that out. All right. I will say that the white looks so nice on this darker walnut. I was thinking it was a walnut stain. You'll tell me if you think that's what it looks like to you. But it just pops real nicely. There we go. And it's rough. I mean, it's not so rough that it's rough on my marker, but it is soaking up the paint nicely to where I don't feel like I'm going to worry so much about smearing it as I go. So just look at your lines, try and cover up those transfer lines as best as you can. And if you need to turn it, don't be afraid to turn it. Sometimes our hand just feels more naturally going in maybe a downward motion than an upward motion. Like you're going to feel that you have a little bit more control. Maybe like pushing out away from your body versus around or in. Okay, that's real tight right there, that T. So I want to make sure it didn't touch the other parts. And then I do see a little bit of a wobble there where the lines are kind of showing through. So I'm going to hold it up here for you to see a little bit closer. So I have a couple of options. I can either just leave it and wait for it to dry and then go back in with a pencil and see if it'll lightly erase. Or I can go back in and do another stroke, kind of cover that up. You'll have to look at it and see, do you want it to be a little bit wider or do you like the thickness of it to where if you go back over it again, it might kind of mess with that. So I actually kind of want to test this transfer and see, can it be erased pretty easily? So I'm just going to pick this little part of the heart here and see. So it erases a little bit. I think on camera you can see that it did take away the bright white, but I can still kind of see the line there. So I'm going to just go back over it again. Just lightly. There we go. Right here too. I always feel like every single time I go back over it is an opportunity for me to mess it up, So let me know if you feel that way too. Like, are you afraid that if you go and do a second coat, you're going to just mess it up? It's always possible. And a piece like this is not as easily remedied, when we're dealing with a painted background like this one back here, that it is finished one. It was all painted with acrylics. And so if we messed up on the lettering part, we could easily just add a little bit more acrylic paint to it, and fix our mistakes. Something like this is not as easily fixed because I don't know what stain this is. You know, it might, I just don't know how you'd fix that background. You could sand it out a little bit maybe. So with that, you do have to just slow down, take your time. There we go. I said earlier in the live, if you're just joining us, that this is kind of my anthem. Let's stay home. I'm the one in the family who wants to just be home all the time. Like, why do we need to go there? I'm all about grocery delivery. If I can, We're supposed to go to Costco today, and I just dread it. I dread it because it's a 30-minute drive to Costco for us, and it's such a process. Used to be, I would be eager to go by myself and leave the kids at home, with Andy, and just be like, I'm going to Costco, and that would be a little bit of my free time. But now they want to stay home, and I say, I need you to come with me because you're my helper. You help me push the cart, and you help me load everything in and take it all out and put it on the belt and all the things. So isn't it funny, the different stages with kids? And then also I'm in this mindset, like frame of mind, thinking like, okay, I just went to my niece's graduation. I cannot believe that she's graduated. My son is finishing 8th grade, so he's about to go into high school. And so you get to that point maybe where you feel like it's the end of an era. Like I see that the end, and people always say end. I know you have your kids, like they're always your kids, but just when they're around you all the time, that maybe is coming to an end. So I'm like, come with me to Costco, ride with me in the car, talk with me. So it's just funny, the difference between that and, the toddler stage or the baby stage where you feel like, I just need a little bit of time by myself. All right. So this was like so simple, such a simple project. Didn't take but maybe 30 minutes. I mean, probably less if I hadn't been talking. But it just is a really easy way to make something fun and cute for your house. I'm just going to go around here, kind of try to go back over a little bit of these, make them a little bit thicker. Some of them you want the thickness to kind of match throughout. So if you see one that looks a lot thinner, then you might want to go back and trace over it and even it out just a little bit. And then too, another thing we could do, we could leave it bright white like that, or we could let it dry and then grab some sandpaper and kind of sand it down so it's maybe not so stark. What would y'all suggest? What would your preference be? Put a 1 in the chat if you think that I should just leave it bright white like this. Don't touch it. Leave it like that. Put a 2 in the chat if you think I should take a little bit of sandpaper to it and just lightly rough it up so that it matches the rustic background. I would love to see what y'all think would be better. Donna said, I love that piece of wood is from your home. I love it too. Even though I know it's not original, at least it was here when we bought it. And so it's a little piece of the history that's kind of fun. This house is 44 years old, 45 years old. Is that right? built in 1980. So, but I feel like it looks a little bit older than it is. People come in and think it seems much older. So it's got just kind of that old house charm to it, not so much the 80s charm, fortunately. Um, let's see. I'm seeing ones mainly. Hey, Teresa, it's good to see you. Hey, Rhonda. All right, so ones so far. Marisa says she absolutely does not like going to the store at all. Going early is key. I don't know why Costco doesn't open before 10 o'clock. It seems really late to me. But also, I don't like to leave my house past a certain time. So if I'm going to go to the grocery store, it has to be in the morning. It cannot be in the afternoons. After like 1 o'clock, I don't want to go, because a lot of our evenings are devoted to baseball or church on Wednesday nights, or maybe Bible study. There's a lot of evening things happening most of the time around here. And so I'm like, I don't want to, if I go out, if it's too late, count me out. I'm going to wait till tomorrow, which is probably what's going to happen with Costco, is that we're going to wait till tomorrow because it's already 12:30 and I don't want to go. All right. So I'm only seeing ones. I'm not seeing any twos. So I'm going to just assume that you feel like it is good to go. And so I will stick to that. And, I could sit here and nitpick and go back over it a few more times, but overall, it looks pretty decent, pretty good. So let me hold it up here for you. I'll switch the camera. So there it is. So totally different from what you see in the background. You see all the brightly colored painted things and the chalkboards, but this is probably the first kind of rustic piece I've done. I can't wait to go find a place to put it. It dried fairly quickly. I've been live for 37 minutes, so it definitely took less than 30 minutes to do. And we used the template right here from the Scripted Faith Collective. And so this was a really quick, fun way to just do something fun. And think about, like, if you see with your creative eyes, so when you're out and about and you see something like this by the side of the road, even, like, I don't know if you've got like a place where you can find scrap, or if it's in your own garage, or maybe you have some scrap wood that you could find, or let me think where else. Even if you're at Hobby Lobby or a craft store and you see a sign that you wanted to paint over, just like think about creative ways that you could take scrap pieces. Like, again, this was free. This didn't cost me anything to use this piece of wood. So start looking for things in a different way and think about, like, what could I letter on that? How could that be a cool decor item? And then your friends will probably be like, can you make me one too? So Elisa over on YouTube says, will the live be saved? Yes, it will. Facebook is only saving our lives now for 30 days. I'm sure you've heard about that. So if you want to go back and see older lives, definitely go over and follow me on YouTube. It's Krystal Witten Studio over there. If you just search my name, it'll pop up. I've got all my lives saved on there, so you can subscribe and watch all the different projects that we have done in the past. Let's see. Teresa says, I am decorating our new Sunday school class, so I'm busy in the Scripted Faith Collective. That is awesome. So you're decorating with some of the templates from the collective. That is cool. And Teresa also runs a ministry at her church that, Teresa, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, but it is kind of like a healing group, right? Where, not healing, but yes, healing. That just came out sounding kind of weird, but maybe where you do creative projects for people who are going through rough times and it's a way for them to express their creativity. And a lot of the things in the Scripted Faith Collective are scripture-based or faith-based. And so that I love that she's able to use that to minister to people at her church. Let's see. Okay, she says it's a life recovery group. So that is awesome. Hey, Roxy, it's okay that you're late, but yes, watch the replay. This is the first time I've done a rustic piece, and I think you're going to like it. So, all right, well, I will be on. I'll pop back on next week for sure. I'll let y'all know a little bit ahead of time because life schedules are a little bit weird right now. I don't have like a great time that's consistent now as we're going into the summer, but I'll try to be back on Wednesday next week, and maybe even throw like an evening live in there at some point too. So, all right. Well, until next time, thank you for joining me. It was great to talk with you. Appreciate you, and we'll see you next time.